ready for some training.
Hello everybody, how are you today? So I must say first of all that I have checked all your homeworks and I have been favorably agreeable to see that many of you have made very excellent homeworks, and so I encourage you to continue that way. Before we begin, I would like to show you first of all the plan of today, and I will display, like the first session, a small PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so the content of this second session, first of all, we will begin with some recaps of what we have seen the last session, the first session. We will then continue to deepen into the definition of the momentum entry of the MO. There are several types of MO, and these types have different rules to enter a trade. Then we will see two new tools which will help us in the entry of the trade, the MACD diamonds, but also the Bollinger Bands, which is a very important tool, a very important indicator in the MAX method. They will help to enter, but also to exit the trades. We will see also some additional exit techniques, and of course, during the presentation of this concept and tools, we will illustrate them with some example. And then, as usual, you will have the definition of the homework which will be asked to you. Then, I would like first of all to answer some questions, some important questions I have received by private emails. And one of the first questions, to eliminate completely ambiguity, is about pips counting. And I will go very fast on this point. Some of you ask me, but why do you count double pips? This is not doubling pips counting we do. And I will take a simple example. Let's suppose we trade the cable, the GBP USD, at 1 lot per unit. So this means that for each trade we open 2 lots. And let's suppose we buy 2 units at 1.6975, and then we sell the 2 units at 1.7035. What is our result in pips? And then in dollars. There are 2 ways to count. The first way, the more direct way, is to consider we have a global trade with these 2 lots, and we have made a result of 60 pips. And the value of each pip is $20. So we have earned $1,200, okay? But we have also another way to count. We can consider each unit as an independent trade. And in this case, each trade will have a pip value of $10. And each trade will have made 60 pips. And so the total movement these 2 units have, we catch with these 2 units is 2 times 60 pips, or 120 pips at $20 the pips, so we have the same financial result. So what is important is not the defined, the fine way we count pips, but what is our financial result at the end. This result will be obtained by multiplying a certain number of pips we have made by the pip value of the trade. So if we know this pip value, we have to define a way to count correctly the pips. When we have a more complicated situation is when we make several scale-ins and mainly scale-out. For example, let's take a second example. We buy the 2 units at 1.6975. We sell a first unit at 1.7010 and a second unit at 1.7035. What are our results? On the first unit, we catch 35 pips. We have bought at 1.6975, sold at 1.70110, so we have made 35 pips at $10 the pips. Since the unit is 1 lot, so we earn 350 pips. On the second unit, we make 60 pips, also at $10 the pips, or 600 pips. And so on this trade, on this global trade, we have 2 movements, one of 35 pips, one of 60 pips, for a total of 95 pips and $10 the pips. And so we have the same result, 950 pips. Alternatively, we can also consider that On the global trade, we have an average movement of 47.5 pips for each unit, but this time at $20 the pips. And so we have the same result. And so you see what is important is not the way we count the pips, but the way we obtain our financial result. And the way we count the pips by a unit is a very, very simple way. So I hope you understand this way of doing, and we do not have inflated pips. Of course, we would have inflated pips if, in this case, we would have said that instead of having a pip value of $10, we would have a pip value of $1 and made 950 pips. This was completely fallacy, but not in the case we count the pips because we consider that each unit is an independent trade of the second unit. And indeed, as we can close one unit independently of the other, they may be considered as two different trades. And this implies a very important concept behind this part of the money management. And the concept is the following. We will illustrate a lot of times in our next example. When we make a first entry of the MO or a scaling later, you have understood, and you will better understood later, it is very, very important to scale out sometimes, so to bank profits, because a profit which is banked is a profit you cannot lose. Moreover, this banked profit will allow you to reduce your risk on your remaining open trade, whatever the price can do. Let's take an example. When you have closed this unit, if you set the second unit at break-even, you have now on this second unit a free trade. Whatever the price can do, you cannot lose on this trade. And so this is very important because if you know that you have already a first profit and you have a free trade here, this must give you a total confidence. You must lose your fear to stay in the movement and so to let your profit runs. And this is, for me, the main concept behind this part of the money management, of the risk and money management. It is to stay in the movement as time as possible. So let your profit runs. Many people know these quotations, these quotes, let your profits run, cut your losses soon, but have no idea how to implement this concept. Here you have the way to implement this concept. So I hope now you understand why we count the pips by units and not with a more complex way. Okay? If you have questions on this aspect, you can always ask, of course. A quick recap also on what we have seen last week. We have first of all defined what is a safe and a perfect MO, momentum entry, for a downtrend or an uptrend. And I just remember quickly, so for an uptrend, the price must be above the home base. The MO line must be preferably also above the home base. The price must close above the MO line and the trailing wheels, outside the trailing wheels, and the three EMA, the 21, the MO line, the 55 and the 89, the two balance line, must have angle and separation. And we have an exception to this rule. We do not enter the trade after one or several long bars. We have to wait for a pullback to have a better entry point. And you have exactly the contrary for the downtrend. And so we have also seen how to scale in with the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence. For an uptrend, we can take a scale in whenever the MACD turns blue, from red to blue. And for downtrend, it's the opposite. We enter whenever the MACD turns from blue to red. And we will see some other way to make additional scale-ins on ledge and pullback, for example. But we'll see that on more example later. We have also seen the first exit techniques with the Stowe RSI, for example on tops and bottoms, but also on divergences between the price and the Stowe RSI. We have seen exit techniques of long bars and also when the price is making a steep angle compared to the MO line and the home base line. And often the steep angle comes with one or several long bars. So, okay. With this short recap, we can now begin with the next part of this session, and we will see today a very important concept. We will go deeper in the Moe concept. So, let's take an example of a Moe. So, a Moe is when I remind you, the first Moe is when the price crosses down or up for the first time the home baseline. This is not an example because it was on an important news. So let's take another example. So here you see that the price crosses up the home baseline. And we have to wait, of course, that the three moving average shows also angle and separation, which begins at this point or a few bars later. At this point. And at this point, we know because of the shift of the moving average that it does not correspond to this bar, but several bars earlier. If we take the blue line, when the blue line crosses the red line here, we know that this happens 5 bars earlier to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is on this bar. Okay? It is on this bar. No, the next one. This one. So here the price is closed above the trailing wheels, and so we say we have a possible momentum entry, a possible Moe. Okay? But this is a special Moe. You see that here, when the price gives the Moe, the price is for a certain number of bars around the home baseline, inside the channel formed by the moving average on the high and the moving average of the low, around the medium price moving average here. And you see also that the three moving average are showing no angle and no separation and stays around the home base. So this kind of situation when the price is around the home base and the moving average, one or several of them are around for a long time along the home baseline, we call that a breakout Moe. So we call this kind of Moe a BO Moe, BO for breakout Moe, because the price stays around the home baseline, and when we have the entry price for the Moe, in fact, this entry happens when we have broken the consolidation zone the price is making. You see the price is in a consolidation zone, and with its support line and its resistance line, and it breaks this resistance line exactly where the price goes above and closes above the trailing wheels here. Let's take another example. This is another example, another different kind of Moe. Here you see that the price comes from the upside of from above the home baseline, go through the home baseline to go to the other side, below the home baseline. And at the moment when the price goes below the home baseline, we see that the three moving average are all three pointing down, and they are in the right order. Indeed, if we see where is the Moe line, 3 bars to the right, 1, 2, 3, we are here. For the blue line, we are here. It is just crossing down the red balance line, and the balance line so is somewhere here. So we have the three moving average which are showing a beginning of separation, but they show angles also. This kind of Moe is a more aggressive Moe. We can enter in this kind of situation immediately, here or there, when the price has closed. And we call that kind of Moe a breakthrough Moe, or BT Moe. Because it is exactly what the price is doing. It breaks through the home baseline. But at the same time, you have the three moving average which show angle and separation. And this kind of Moe is a valid Moe. You don't have to wait then a pullback on the Moe line, on the home baseline, or near the home baseline. You don't have to wait for the Moe line to have crossed down, in this case, the home base. You can enter immediately. But there is a big difference between breakthrough Mo and breakout Mo. On the breakout Mo, let's go back to the BOMO. When the breakout up happens, in general, the price goes in the trend, up or down. And it's easy to follow it. And sometimes it may, of course, make pullbacks on the Mo line, which will give gives us other opportunities to enter trades. With the breakthrough Mo, in this case, there is a danger. There is always a danger. The characteristic of a breakthrough Mo is often the price start to move in the direction of the new trend, but very soon it will make a pullback, a fast pullback. And the pullback will often go until your entry price level, or even until or near the home base line. This is the example here. We have had the setup bar here. The price has not really started. It has made directly a first pullback. And the true movement has begun a few bars earlier here. And then you can monitor the trend, as we have seen last week. Let's take another example. Here, at this moment on this bar, you see the price goes from one side to the other side of the home base. It crossed down and closed below the home base. At that moment, we see it's easy to see that the 3 moving averages show a nice angle and separation. You have the condition for a breakthrough Mo, a BT Mo. And here you see what happens. The price begins to move in the direction of the new trend, but soon, very soon, it makes a pullbacks, and right on the home base. It will not always pullbacks on the home base. Sometimes it will be near the home base, or even sometimes after the home base. But this pattern happens very, very often. And so you need to be, if you take that trade, you have the right to take that trade, you have to be very, very prudent to close very fast your trade. And here you see, for example, that the Story RSI is making a bottom in the oversold zone. So you have a clear sign that here you have to close your trade, and not with an MX, but preferably, I prefer to make an XXX. Because you know you have a pullback, and on that pullback, after the pullback, you will have an opportunity to re-enter. When you see the pullback, you can always trace, in this case, the support line. And when the support line is break down by the price, and the MACD turns from blue to red, you have another entry, which will be, in this case, another Mo, a ReMo. An alternative name for the ReMo is an after Mo, because you have made an XXX. Let's see an example, if I have one, okay, here of a breakout Mo. You see that the price came from the upside of the home base line. It stayed sometime around the home base. The 3 moving average also, you have no angle, no separation. They are forming a spaghetti zone. And at some time, you can see that the price is in the consolidation zone. You can easily draw here the support and the resistance line of this consolidation zone. And when the price goes above the Mo line and break through the resistance lines of this consolidation zone, you have then your entry. And it is a safe entry. In this case, it is a breakout Mo, BO Mo. Okay? And so you see that the rules to enter the Mo is completely different. For the BO Mo, we wait for the consolidation zone to break. And for the BT Mo, you can enter immediately, but you will have to be fast to take your profit, to protect your profit. Okay? And whatever happens later, for example, here, or if the price pulls back on the home base line and so goes again above the Mo line, if you have a setup bar for an entry, it will be a ReMo or an after Mo. And so it will be important for you to make the distinction between the BOMO and the BTMO to apply the correct rule to enter safely in the trade. And if you are not sure here of what happens, you may skip this trade and enter on the safe, on the next safe and perfect Mo, which will be here when the price make a pullback, just right on the training wheels. And then you have moreover the MACD, which turns blue, and so you have your perfect entry here, and then you monitor your trades like we have seen last week. Okay? To make the distinction between the BTMO and the BHOMO, like the case here with the BHOMO, you avoid many head fakes. You see here that during that consolidation zone, even if the price crosses down and even closed down below the home baseline, you didn't have a proper entry to go to take the downtrend, and so you have avoided these head fakes, and so you have avoided losing trades or bad trades. Okay? This is very, very important. Is it clear for everybody? Okay. Now we will introduce you another new tools to better see how to make your scalings. And these tools is what we call the MACD diamond. Let's see here. Here are the settings of the indicator, 363, which correspond to the same settings of the MACD. And you can set up colors, lime and red, with a whites number 2. And here is this indicator on the chart. You see that this indicator is formed of diamonds, green diamonds and red diamonds. And these diamonds appear whenever the MACD change color. Let's take some example. Here we have an uptrend. Whenever the MACD turns from red to blue, like here, at the end, at the close of the bar, you have a green diamond which appears. Here, same thing. The MACD turns from red to blue, and at the close of the bar, you have the green diamond which appears. And here, and here, and so on. And for a downtrend, of course, it's the contrary. When the MACD turns from blue to red, you have a red diamond. For example, here, you see the MACD turn to red, you have the red diamond which appear at the close of the bar. But the diamond appears at the close of the bar. In the parameter, you can change the way the diamonds appears in this way. You have a parameter here which is called alert bar close. If you set 0, the diamond will appear when the bar close and the MACD change colors. But if you put another value, for example 1, then your diamonds will be shifted one bar to the left, to the right, sorry. You see? Now, the green diamonds here is 1 bar to the right of the bar here, at the close of which the MACD turns from red to blue. And here, this red diamonds is 1 bar to the right when the MACD turns from blue to red. So it's up to you to see what parameters you prefer. If you prefer to see the diamond appearing at the close of the bar or the next one, or 2 bars later, or whatever bars you want. Preferably, personally, I prefer to have the coincidence between the MACD and the diamonds. This will allow you, if you want, to hide the MACD indicator to have lighter charts. But of course, in this case, you will have to train yourself to determine when you will have a potential scaling during a pullback. You see here we are in an uptrend. You have a pullback which is forming here with the two red candles, the red bars. Then you have a blue bar at the end of which the MACD begins to turn blue. You will not be informed of the MACD turning blue, but you see the pullback here. And with some training, you will be able to choose the correct entry on this pullback. If you wait for the diamonds to appear, you have the confirmation that the MACD has turned blue, and that I have explained to you last week how to make your entry when the bar has closed. So I just remind you quickly, you can make, if the bar is not a long bar, you can enter immediately on the next one, on the open, or when the price goes over the close of the previous bar, or when the bar goes over the high of the next bar, and if of the previous bar. And if you have a long bar, so you will wait for a pullback before opening your trade. Okay? I will send you, of course, this indicator at the end of this session. Now, I will introduce another indicator which will be a very, very important indicator. But first of all, let's make some cleaning of the chart. I will reapply simply the template, and here it is the Bollinger Bands. The Bollinger Bands, I will show you the parameters of the Bollinger Bands. It is a customized, proprietary indicator which has been developed by an assistant of Jim in the past. Some of you know him. It is Bluto in the FXAW forum group. And the parameters of these Bollinger Bands are 0 for the time frame, 21 for the number of period, 3 for the shift, 1 for the first standard deviation, and 2 for the second standard deviation. Okay? So you see that this indicator can show 2 standard deviation, but one of them is hidden here. I will show you how. If you go in the colors panel, you have the 4 bands of the Bollinger Bands here, and you set to known. You see, at known, the color for 2 of them. Let's show them by giving them a color. You will see. Here in green, you have the first standard deviation of the Bollinger Bands, and in yellow, the second standard deviation of the Bollinger Bands. We use 2 different standard deviation to take into account the volatility of the pairs. For pairs which have normal or a high volatility, we will use the second standard deviation, and we will hide the first standard deviation. And with pair having a very low volatility, like the euro-pound, for example, like the Aussie dollar, for example, we will use the first standard deviation. So for the moment, let's hide the first standard deviation, as we are on the pound yen here. And the Bollinger Bands will be used in 2 ways. A first way to enter the trade, and a second way to exit the trade. And let's see first how we use the Bollinger Bands to exit trade. There are 2 kinds of behavior which are very, very important with the Bollinger Bands. 2 kinds of behavior of the price. You see here an example. Here we have our entry point. Let's mark it. We have our SafeMo. Eventually, we had our BOMO, breakout Mo somewhere here. You have 2 alternative, 2 possible entry. Incidentally, you can see that this resistance line of the consolidation zone is also indicated by the upper band of the Bollinger Band. So this will be very useful to see the consolidation zone the price is making. But after the Mo, after the entry, you see that sometimes, not sometimes, but very often, when we have a nice trend, the price will ride the Bollinger Bands. For an uptrend, it will ride the upper bands. For a downtrend, it will ride the lower band. And sometimes, like you see here, the price will close outside the Bollinger Band, and even the bar will be completely outside the Bollinger Bands. This kind of situation, Jim used to call this kind of situation crabgrass, by comparison of the grass, the wild grass on your lawn. When if some of you have a lawn and sometimes regularly you have to to mow your lawn, and the next day, the morning, you see that wild grass are pointing up on your lawn, and they are called crabgrass. It's the same thing here. We call this pattern crabgrass. Let's write it here. To give a name to a pattern, it's always very useful to recognize them. Crabgrass. So when the price goes close outside the Bollinger Bands, and preferably you have the wall bar outside the Bollinger Bands. This is always an indication when you have the possibility. Mongo says, I hate crabgrass. I understand you. You have always a nice place to take a profit, to bank a profit, and to make an MX here. You see? And if you compare what the price is doing here with the Stow RSI, you will see that the Stow RSI is also forming a top, but is not yet finished its top. So you have a pre-signal, a pre-warning that the price is gaining too much momentum here, and an imminent correction or an imminent retracement will come. And indeed, it has come. And so you have here a very important sign the market gives you to take your profit. Later, on the trend, here, you have the same thing. You see, here, the price is spotting out the Bollinger Bands. You have even a bar outside the Bollinger Bands. So you have here a possible place to take a profit. Later on the trends, you have the same pattern, and you have a possible place to take a profit. And when these configurations happen with the Stow RSI forming a top, when the top is quite confirmed, you have a very nice place to make a profit, to take a profit. Now, you are not obliged to take all the profits, but you must be prudent, you must be ready to take one, mainly, and to take it mainly if you have several convergent signals. Example, here, what we see that we have also a long bar, we have crabgrass here, and we have the Stow RSI forming a top, even if the top is not yet completely confirmed. So, in this case, you know you will have a high probability for a retracement. Don't let the market a chance to take back your profits. Take your profit, bank some profit here, and make your MX. The role of the trader is not only to be able to identify good entry points, good trades. It is also he must also have the quality to be able to keep the profits he is making. Okay? Here, for example, you have the Stow RSI forming a top here, but the price is not going outside the Bollinger Bands, so it is not necessary here to take a profit. You have not a sign to take a profit by the crabgrass concept, but you may have other signs. For example, the Stow RSI forming here a divergence with the price. And so you see that you have many signs the market can give you when you must be prudent and take your profit. Knowing that even if you exit prematurely, suppose that here was not a good exit placed, then soon or later, and often sooner than later, you will have a possible re-entry point. So do not be afraid to take a profit when you see there are signs, several signs, converging signs in the market. Take them, take it, and then re-enter. Even if the price level of the scaling here is at the same level of the previous scaling. You have banked some profit, you have reduced your risk dramatically. We will see that in detail in the section on the money management. It's not a problem to scale in immediately after. Okay? This is the first sign the market gives you to exit. Other sign the market gives you, it's on the store RSI. You see that here in this example, we have a place to make an exit. The store RSI has formed a top. It has even formed a double top here. This kind of sign will often happen with our version of the store RSI. And this is a very important sign. These two tops forms a pattern which is called an M. An M. Here. During an uptrend. And during a downtrend, of course, you will have the contrary. Let's show examples here. For example, here, even if the pattern is a little distorted, you have a double bottom, and these these two bottoms, form a pattern called a W. If you have not taken your profit 1 unit on the first bottom and you see a second one forming a W, there you have a powerful sign to take a profit. On the same way, on the uptrend, here if you have not taken your profit on the first top and you see a second top forming an M, you have a very powerful sign to close 1 unit. Okay? So the M's and the W's are very, very important. And you have always this kind of signals in the store RSI. Example here, you have W, which announce that the price will probably goes up. You have here some double tops here. M, it is a little distorted, but it's still an M. It announces that the price will goes down. And what the price has done? It has retraced. Okay? Let's see another example. Here you have a double top, an M. What is the price doing soon after? Not immediately. Sometimes it can take several bars for the price to react, but the price goes down. After you have W, what the price is doing soon after, here you see the price is going up. Now don't get me wrong, these kind of signs do not work always, but often, and sufficiently often for you to be aware of these signs. When these signs appear, always consider to take a profit 1 unit, so an MX. Okay? So in an uptrend, you will be focused on the M. In a downtrend, you will focus your attention on the W. Okay? And if this pattern form a divergence, also with the price, you may have, for example, here, you could have the second bottoms higher than the first one. You will have then, in this case, a divergence. It is still a more powerful sign the market gives you. Okay? For example, here, you have a nice example. Let's check it. You have here the first top of the store RSI, of the M. You have here the second top of the M. You have higher highs on the price here. You have lower highs in the store RSI. You have an M. And a divergence. This is a very, very powerful signal here. Take your profit. If you have not taken your profit here, take on the second tops here. Okay? That's another way to consider taking your profits. Now, there are other signs that the market gives you to take a profit. And this is your role as trader to recognize these signs. You all know some methods based on the pattern made by the candlesticks. There are a lot of patterns. The great specialist of the candlestick is Steve Nissen. Many of you know him. But we don't have to master the whole concept of the candlesticks. we have just to be aware of 4 kinds of bars. The first kind of bars is this bar. What is this kind of bar? You see this bar? What is this bar? Can somebody tell me what is this bar? What is a kind of candlestick? It is a doji. Yes, indeed. A doji is a bar where the close is equal to the open. This kind of bar is not a doji. It is quite a doji because the close is a little different of the open, but it's quite a doji. We will consider this is also a doji. Okay? And what is a doji or a quasi-doji, a quite a doji? A doji is always, it is not important how we call them. It's just necessary to know it is a doji. The open and the close may be anywhere in the byte, maybe on the low of the byte, maybe on the high of the byte, maybe in the middle. That's not important. The important thing is it's a doji or a quite a doji. A doji is always a sign of uncertainty in the market. Okay. A second kind of bar is the following. Let's try to find one. Let's see here. We have here the bar I want to show you. You see that this bar is completely engulfed in the previous bar. This is an inside bar. For an inside bar, you have the high of the bar, which is lower than the high of the previous bar, and the low of the bar is higher than the low of the previous bar. Eventually, one of the extreme may be at the same level than the previous bar. So you have here an inside bar. An inside bar is also a bar of uncertainty. There is a third kind of bar. You have an example here. This is, and it is also representative of 2 kinds of bars. The first kind, you see here that the high of this bar is higher than the previous high, and the low is lower than the previous low. We have an outside bar. This bar completely engulfs the previous one. We have an outside bar. Okay? And you see also, this will be the 4th kind of bar which interests us. You see also that this bar has a long wick. A long wick whose length must be at least twice the length of the body of the bar. If it is more than twice the body, if its length is more than twice the length of the body of the bar, it's still better. We call this kind of bar a pin bar. Okay? For example, here, a pin bar. Here, another pin bar, the red one. And it's not important where the wick is, above or below. Here, you have another pin bar. So, you have 4 kinds of, we call that reversal bar, but they are not exactly reversal bar. There are bars which on which you must focus because of uncertainty in the markets. And when in a sideways, for example here, in a sideways of 3, 4, 5 or more bars, you have 2 or 3 more reversal bar, it is always a good place to consider to take an exit. Here you have a pin bar. Here you have an inside bar. Here you have a doji bar. So you have 3 bars, 3 reversal bars, forming a consolidation zone, far from the home base. Here you have an excellent point to consider to make a NMX. Okay? Let's take another example. Here you have a pin bar. You have a pin bar and a doji bar. You have 2 reversal bar. 2, 3 or more gives you a sign for a place where you can consider to take a profit. Okay? Let's take another example. Here, you have a nice example. You have had a downtrend. On this downtrend, you have here, you see not only crabgrass, but also an inside bar, an outside bar. So you have two reversal bars. If you had a third one, it would have been better, but you have two, so here you have a place where you can consider to exit. Okay? And you will see very, very often this kind of situation, this kind of patterns. And so when you have a convergence of several of these exit signs, do not hesitate to exit to take your profit. Example here, you have a typical crabgrass. You have then an inside bar, you have a pin bar, and so there you have the Stochastic forming a top in the overbought zone. So you know by recognizing these signs that you will have a point to exit. You may exit. If you wait, of course, for this bar to close, then you have plenty of time on the next bar, the next red bar here, to exit. Okay? Okay, now let's take some example and let's handle a complete trend. Let's say, for example, the movement we have seen yesterday, not on the pound yen. Oh, why not on the pound yen? It's not important. Oh, Euro USD, yes, why not? Chart. No, I will put here Euro USD. Okay. Okay, here. Let's take this example after the NFP. The two long bars here was caused by the NFP, and you know we never enter on a news. But what happens half an hour after the NFP? After the first down movement, after the at the NFP release, you have had a nice pullback, and you see that the pullback was quite right on the home base, on baseline. And when the price goes back again and crosses down and closed below the Mo line, then you have here a nice entry point, a nice Mo. And what kind of Mo it is? Is it a BT Mo or a BO Mo? Is it a BT Mo or a BO Mo here? Hello? The returning graduates, what kind of Mo we have here? A BT Mo or a BO Mo? No answer? Okay. We have a BO Mo, which is easy to see here. You have all these moving average which are intermixed and resting a long time around the home base line. So we have a BO Mo here, a breakout Mo. Normally you should have been able to enter when the consolidation zone you see here have been breaked out. But because of the news, you know you cannot enter. You wait. And you had an excellent opportunity after the pullback. Then, what happens after your BOMO? So, let's see bar after bar what happens on our indicators. So here we have, first of all, a first scaling. Here, C1. SC1, then a second scaling here SC2. You may enter everywhere you want in the bar here after the breakout of the support line of this little ledge, or when you have the confirmation the MACD turns from blue to red. And you have to consider if the scaling may be taken or not, depending if it is closed or not, too close or not from the previous one. Then you have another one here, another possible one here, after a very nice ledge here, SC3. And you see that during all that time, the price is riding very well the Bollinger Bands. Here, you see that the price is putting out the Bollinger Bands, we have a situation of crabgrass. Okay? Yes, I don't have the diamonds on the screen. Sorry, Vanessa. You see that the price is making a crabgrass configuration, so this candle, this one and this one, even if it was immediately after scaling, indicate that you made a possible place to make an MX. And if you check on the stir RSI, you see that the stir RSI is forming a nice M, and even a nice W, and even a triple bottoms configuration. So you know at that moment that you have a warning sign for a coming retracement. So here, take your profit. Make an MX. Follow immediately. You recognize that you have a ledge by the candles having the same low. And when the MACD begin to turn red, you know you can scale in. And you continue. And then you have a divergence which appear here on the stir RSI and with the price. But we are not too far from the home base. So you can just make an MX. Not a text, but just a slanted white line. You can make an MX. Now, if you are Freddy Cat, and there is nothing wrong to be Freddy Cat, I am sometimes Freddy Cat. If you consider you are too far from the home baseline, you can make an XXX here, knowing that soon or later you may have a re-entry point. And this happens on the pullback right on the training wheels here, when the MACD turns again from blue to red here, and you can make eventually a scaling SC4 or a REMO, re-entry. And then here, what do we see? If you don't see that you have a strong divergence between the price and the stir RSI, you should have taken a profit here with an MX. Okay? And later, in this small retracement, which looks like a consolidation, you see several reversal bars. A doji here, an outside bar, another doji, pin bar. You have in this zone, in this small consolidation, several reversal bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know that in this zone, if you have missed your XXX here and you have only taken an MX, you know that here you have a sign to make an XXX because of the reversal bar. Okay? It's not easy to determine if this bottoms in the price in the downtrend will be the last bottom in the price, and you should make your XXX, but you will often have the following sign in the retracement or in the in a small consolidation following the bottoms, and here you will have your exit point. So be always focused on these 4 reversal bars. As long as you see 2, 3 or more of them, mainly after the trend as well developed, don't hesitate, make an XXX. And if you have exited too early, you will always have the possibility to re-enter later. You have another sign which is given, moreover, by the Bollinger Bands. Look here. Here, you see that the Bollinger Bands, the lower bands, is turning back. And as you advance in the movement, in the price movement, it becomes quite horizontal here. So you know that in this zone, and the upper level is coming near and near, closer and closer to the lower bands. So the 2 bands are squeezing. You know that you are entering in a consolidation zone. So as soon as you see this combination of sign, crabgrass, several reversal bar, eventually a divergence in the oscillator here, and the Bollinger Band squeezing, you know you have a high probability for the movement to be to be at the end or to have some great weakness. And so do not hesitate to exit. Okay? Later, when you will see squeeze here in the Bollinger Bands, but we'll speak about the squeeze later at the next session, we will see how to exploit this kind of situation to enter or not in the trade. Okay? Another rule you have to take also into account. Yes, Vanessa, you are right. Another sign to take the XXX here is the steep angle the price is forming here. We have a steep angle between the price and the Mo line. The Mo line also itself, during all the movement, was making a steep angle. This is always a very, very powerful sign to at least take a profit. And if you have a convergence of several signs, to make even an XXX. When I have a steep angle, I always prefer to make an XXX, and because I know I will have the possibility to re-enter later. But it depends if you are risk averse or not. If you are conservative, you will make an XXX. If you are more aggressive, you can sometimes take the risk to just make an MX. Okay? Well, another rule you have to take into account, and you have a nice example here. It's a rule named the 3, 5, or 8 bars. You see that this movement, this downtrend, is composed of several waves. One wave, two wave, a second wave, a third wave. Each wave is composed of a movement in the direction of the trend and a retracement. A movement in the direction of the trend and a retracement. A movement in the direction of the trend and a retracement. So when you are in the direction of the trend, very, very often the end of the movement will come after 3 to 5, even 7 or 8 bars. Let's count here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars. You see? Here in this movement, you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive red bars. So whenever you have in any movement between 3 5s consecutive bars in the same color, be always focused and ask you the question, am I now in a situation to consider taking a profit? And sometimes you may have 8 bars, even more. You will see situations, but there will be more rare, where you will have 9, 10, 11, 12 consecutive bars. Okay? Well, so we have seen here, I think, all the points I wanted to show you today, and we have illustrated it with some example. So the homework I will ask you, for the newbies, you will have, like the last time, 2 homeworks to do, a short one and a long one. But please post them in the same, yes, Mongo, 3, 5, 8 bars. But please post your 2 homeworks in the same email. 1 email with 2 homeworks. This will help to reduce the number of email exchange in the Google group. And for graduates, just 1 homework. On this homework, you will have to go in the past. You can choose any pairs you want, preferably the 5 minute time frame. You will have the most. You will have many situations you can recognize, and I ask you to recognize the different Mo, to name them, BTMO or BOMO or REMO, to mark on your chart, as I have done here, all the patterns the STO-RSI shows you, the W, the M's, the divergence, to show on the chart when the price is making crabgrass, to note your scales in, to note your profit taking, your MX and your XXX. Okay? Every sign and of course the reversal bar. Every sign showing an entry or an exit, you will have to mark on the chart. Okay? This will show that you have understood the concept of these signs the market give you. Okay? And it is because we have the ability to recognize many signs the market gives us that we can exploit and milk the trend from quite its beginning to quite its end. Okay? And I will just give a complementary piece of information here for the scale-ins and for the related to the pip counting. When here you have made your MO, your scale-in, and your first profit here, this first profit will already reduce the risk you have on all your open unit here. You have also, for some of your open units, some potential profits. So this must give you a total confidence to keep the other open units until the end of the trend. Let your profits run, because your profits, your trades are protected, are under the protection of the profits you have already taken. And later we will see how to manage our stop loss to still protect more our profits. So let your profits run. This is the main concept under the money management part here with the scale-ins and scale-out. For the stop loss, Nicolas, we will see that later. We will begin to see the stop loss at the next session. Okay? For the graduates, so only one homework, and please, the graduates, post your homework in the forum, in the sub-forum dedicated to the homework. For the first session, perhaps because of some problems we have had, I have seen only 10 or 11 returning graduates posting their homeworks. Please post your homeworks and do not hesitate to comment the homeworks of your friends. We are not here to judge people, we are here to learn together. Do not be afraid to make errors. We learn from errors. So grade the homework of the people in your group. Chris has defined groups, so be active in the forum. It is the best way to learn. Whenever you grade homework, it is as if you had done that homework yourself. So more homework we will grade, more you will shorten your learning curve. And this is true also for the newbies. Read the grading of the homeworks of the other people. You will it will be very similar if you had made these homeworks yourself. Okay, and we are quite 100 people in the group, 75 I see. So if you read all of them, you will have a lot of work, and you will have a lot of understanding of the max concept. And please, another last recommendation: keep confidential for yourself all you are learning on the max. Do not distribute, do not disclose this information outside the group. Okay? So now we can perhaps take just a few minutes to answer question and answer. And Chris or Craig, if you would like to give me the questions I have not seen on the chatsi while I was explaining the things, I will take the pleasure to answer.
Hi, Eusebio. Thank you.
But I have to make you as a presenter, I think.
Eusebio?
No.
Yes?
We're okay.
I
yes,
made a note.
Oh, Jerry, yes.
It's Jerry, yes. I wrote down some questions from some of the folks that perhaps got by. One is you had made reference to using Bollinger Bands for entries, but you didn't explain that. Are you going to be explaining that further?
Yes, I will explain at the next session. And the next session in particular, we will see that we will hide the training wheels and we will use instead the Bollinger Bands for our entry. Because I can tell this immediately now. The inconvenience of the training wheels is that you have only plus and minus pips around, plus and minus 10 pips around the Mo line. This is a constant. And these 10 pips have not the same value depending on the volatility of the pair. It's a nonsense to use plus or minus 10 pips for the pound yen, for example, and to use also these plus or minus 10 pips for the euro pound, for example. So we will see that the Bollinger Bands will be much more useful for our entry point.
Okay, thank you. Another question that came up, would you just review briefly the three entries that you would use when the MACD changes color from red to blue or blue to red?
Here on this example?
It could be on any example. In other words, during the formation of the bar, or the bar closes, or the extreme of the bar.
Yes, okay, and for that I will make a zoom in of
Okay.
this chart to better
Thank
see.
you.
So, let's take this example, this one, for example, here. Oops. This one. You see that on this bar, the MACD turns from blue to red. The first entry techniques is to wait for the bar to close, to have the confirmation then the MACD has really turned red. Then you see that the bar here closed here. And then this is your setup bar, and we will suppose it is not a long bar. So the entry bar will be the next one, or one of the next one, because you can have also the situation the next bar will be an inside bar. So the three different techniques to enter are the following. The first technique is to enter directly on the open of the next bar. So here. Okay? The second technique, more conservative, is to wait for the price to go below. In this case, we are in a downtrend, so to go below the close of the setup bar of the scaling. And the third technique, still more conservative, if this is the case, is to scale in when the price go below the low of the setup bar. And when I say below the close or the low of the bar, you can choose a number of pips, 1, 2, 3 pips below, a little slippage. Okay? These are the three techniques. Now, the fourth technique is the more aggressive one. You have an example here. While the bar is forming, before it closes, when you see that the MACD is already turning red, and the price has crossed down the support line of the previous pullback or ledge, you can enter. And so you will perhaps enter here, or there. You can enter before the price closes. But this is the most aggressive one. Okay?
Yes, thank you, Eusebio. Those are the questions that I had written down.
Okay.
Hello, Eusebio.
Well, so...
Hi, Eusebio.
Yes, it's just another little information. I would like that you send your homework at least for Monday, let's say 9 p.m. East time. Monday, 9 p.m. East time, so that we will have the time to grade them. And I count off the benevolent graders, Gabriele, Halstrup, Lele, DC, Vanessa eventually if you want, Ari if you are there. You have made wonderful comments on some of the homework, so if you can grade, that would be great. Thank you very much. Yes, Chris, go on.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi. First off, could you do a pip count on that that trade run that you've just shown us there, so that we can get all enthusiastic about?
A count here for the pips we have made. We have made here.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a volunteer to count with me? Vanessa, can you be the pips counter? Okay. So we suppose we have made the Mo here. We have made our first scale-in, so here. We have taken an MX here. The second scale-in here, the third scale-in here, an MX here, a scale-in here SC4. Let's note it. SC4. An MX here and the XXX here. So, on the first Mo here and the first MX here, we have made 94 pips minus the spread, which is 2 pips here on the euro. So let's take 92 pips. And on the MX, on the XXX here for the second unit, we have 146 pips. 146 pips. Then on the scale-in here, we have an MX here, for example, at 60 pips, and the second units here at the XXX at 90 pips. For the second scale-in, let's say here, we have our third MX here at 80 pips, and the second units closed here at 66 pips. For the third scale-in, we have We have no longer MX, so we have the 2 units under the XXX. So we have 46 pips twice. 46 pips twice. And for the last scaling here, 38 pips twice. 38 pips twice. How many pips? 702 pips. For a trade, a movement, a total movement here of 165 pips, 165 pips, and a total trade which lasts approximately 40 bars or 5 minutes. This is 200 minutes. This is 3 hours and a half. Isn't it nice?
Thank you for that. And
Mongo has a question on current bar. Would a remo at the XXX be too risky? Yes, here it would be too risky. Why? Because you enter we enter a consolidation zone. Here, it will be also. It may be critical, but we'll see the next time when we'll see the different situation with the squeeze of the Bollinger Bands. Okay, Chris. Sorry, I have interrupted you.
No, it's fine. Just to let the grads know, and the new students as well, we have a forum. I sent an email out much earlier in the piece, and I'll send it out again. Everybody is invited into the forum. There is a special area in there where the graduates will be placing their homework, just to stop the volume of emails hitting the Google group. But the new students are most welcome to go there. There is a password to get into it, and you also have to register to get into the forum. New students will not be able to see the whole forum the way the graduates can. I'll send through an email inviting you all again to go there. Yep. The other point is that I've just noticed that the forum's website name has changed, and if you're having troubles logging on, and you log in and then you get immediately booted out and have to re-log in again, remove the www at the front of the forum name. So it's maxtradingforum.com. It's not www.maxtradingforum. It's just maxtradingforum.com. And then click on the register or the login and you should be okay. I don't know why it's changed. I've got a question into the forum guys, but yep, these things happen. So thank you. Back to you, Eusebio.
Yes, okay. Just to finish for the homework, what pair can you choose? I have made a little list here in my PowerPoint presentation. I will show you here. If you focus on the main pairs, for the major, for example, the Euro USD, the Pound USD, the USD CAD, the USD Swissy, the USD Yen, the OC USD, the Kiwi USD. With these 6 or 7 pairs, you will have very, very much work to do. You have enough to do. Even with the main 4 pairs, you have a lot of work to do. You will have enough opportunity. But you can also study other pairs. The main pair with the yen, the euro yen, the pound yen, the OC yen. And it is also interesting to study a very low volatile pair, the euro yen. So you have here all you need to make a lot of beautiful trades. So don't go to with exotic pairs now. Just study these main pairs, and you will see. You will with the 5-minute time frame. If you follow 6, 8, or 10 of these pairs, you will not have time to handle other opportunities. You will see every day, even during these days, which are much more difficult to handle in terms of trading. Okay. Well. Now, we can stop here for this recording. I stop the recording now. and I will be a few minutes in the chat see if you have a few minutes. And yes, review the video before your homework. So Chris make always an amazing job to give the video as soon as possible. So review for the video and then make your homework, because we have seen a lot of details today in a short period of time. So thank you.